On today's show, SpongeBob gets a big score, a legendary comedian gets his own movie, and if you are a flower moon, Scorsese and DiCaprio, they might have your number. Look out. Movie Talk starts right now.
It's not oil in there.
Huh?
Is it oil well? Is that what that is back then?
Well, I believe so. I believe it's, hey, what are all the fights in Oklahoma about? They're about oil.
Yeah?
That's what happens, but we're not there yet. Right now, we're just here at the beginning of Collider Movie Talk. Welcome, everybody. That is Haleigh Foutch, and that is still celebrating his birthday month, John Steven Rocha. Your actual birthday was yesterday.
It was actually October 1st, and it's been going on this whole time. No, it was yesterday.
Well, very belated happy birthday.
Thank
How
you
did
very
you celebrate
much.
your actual birthday? Anything special?
Yeah, I got together with my friends who, we all went to college together. Every year, it's my tradition is to get together that one birthday night with all my friends and have a dinner, and we just sit around catching up with each other. So, very nice time. And they pay for dinner, so it's always nice.
Oh, yeah.
We go to the Maggiano's, but I think that's ending now.
No more Little Italy for you? What happened?
I went to the bathroom for 5 minutes, came back downstairs, and they had all convinced my girlfriend to talk me out of Maggiano's for next year. So I guess we're not going there anymore.
All right. And if you work at the Olive Garden, look out because Rocha, Party of 96, might be coming your way. Well, some exciting news in the world of SpongeBob. There's been 2 SpongeBob movies. I enjoyed the last one with Antonio Banderas, was a pirate. That was a lot of fun. We're getting a new one in the summer of 2020. We have some info for you. First of all, it's going to be an origin story, or at least it's going to show the origin of SpongeBob. It's called SpongeBob. I believe the title of the movie is It's a Wonderful Sponge. So SpongeBob, It's a Wonderful Sponge, obviously a nod to the Frank Capra classic, It's a Wonderful Life. And SpongeBob is going to look back on his life, how he first met the Bikini Bottom Gang. You're going to get to see little SpongeBob meeting all these characters for the first time. And if that wasn't enough, the legendary Hans Zimmer is going to be doing the score for a SpongeBob movie. Haleigh Foutch, I just gave you 2 incredible pieces of exciting information about the SpongeBob movie. Which one has you more tickled?
Well, I've never seen an episode of SpongeBob, so I guess I wouldn't be the one to know about his origins. Do we already know how the pineapple got under the sea?
We have never seen it. We've never seen it on the big screen before, so that's why it's very exciting. And I don't know if there's going to be some sort of angel that's going to take SpongeBob through his entire life, and he's going to get to maybe rework his life going forward as he looks back in his past, a la It's a Wonderful Life or A Christmas Carol. But that sounds intriguing enough to me to fire up a doobie and go see SpongeBob in the summer of 2020.
Well, especially if Hans Zimmer's doing the score, which is always welcome. That would be, to answer your question, the piece of information that's of most interest to me. And it sounds maybe kind of funny when you first hear it, because we think of Hans Zimmer, we think of superhero scores or Oscar movie scores, but he really goes all over the place and has always worked in all genres. So it's a good fit. I mean, he did The Lion King, for goodness sake.
Yeah, now, Rocha, maybe it's going to be The Lion King or something along that is actually on the man's tombstone, but until that day comes, I think SpongeBob's a fun project for Hans Zimmer to take on, certainly. True. And then we have this origin experience news as well. And the movie is going to be full CG, so they're going to create entire CG worlds that are developed, but it's also going to involve some live action, so you may get more cameos, a la what we saw with Antonio Banderas. Yeah. Are you a SpongeBob guy in your now old age?
I would say that I have a lot of friends who are SpongeBob people, because SpongeBob is one of those animated series that cross that line between kids and adults and makes it it has a lot of subtle adult humor within its humor and storylines and plot lines, and still comes back to those basic tenets about friendship and being good to one another and all that kind of stuff. But it's enjoyable. It's very funny. You never know what you're going to create. I don't know how high these creators were to create this whole thing and the Bikini Bottom Gang, whatever, pretty inventive people, but they did it and it latched on to the public like Adventure Time does, like Rick and Morty do. These animated series come along and they kind of just cross generations, and this is one of them, and a lot of people enjoy it very much. I had the pleasure of sitting on a train one time with Tom Kenny and a couple other friends on the way back from Comic-Con. Very interesting cat. Lot of knowledge in that man. And he's voicing, so he's bringing these extra levels of complexity to what he's doing when he does voiceovers or meanings or hidden meanings and things he's doing. So it was just fascinating to hear his point of view of the series through his eyes. Because when you're at that time, I was just oh, that's an animated series for kids. But he explained it, broke it down. It was just very interesting to hear that.
You took the famous Comic-Con train from San Diego back up to Los Angeles
Union Station
with none other than voiceover legend Tom Kenny.
Yeah.
He must have felt about you how you felt or your friends felt about the Little Italy. Like, why am I still here talking to this guy? Did you accost poor Tom Kenny? Or did you bother him? Did you take selfies?
This is my friend Ted Biaselli. He was at Netflix at the time, and so he knew all these people from doing voiceovers himself occasionally on these series that he was part of. And so he was at Hasbro at the time. He's at Netflix now, but he was at Hasbro at the time, and he knew all these people from all the stuff they were doing. So he just hung out with him, and so just by osmosis, I just got to listen to all this kind of stuff. But anyway, the thing is this has made money. It's pretty incredible that you get a third installment of this series, and like this idea that it can keep going, and now it's got this other thing that's like all the episodes, all the seasons, the 2 movies, and they have never done an origin fully exploring what happened here, how everything happened, how the pineapple got in the ocean. So this is exciting. It's a fun way to go. So kudos to them for being able to get a third feature film installment of an animated series. That's really rare. And then attracting the attention of Hans Zimmer, who probably has kids or teenagers who have enjoyed this series. So
yeah, the movies have grossed $140 million, $325 million worldwide. This is going to be, like I said, the third one, and it's the 20th anniversary next year, I believe, of SpongeBob. Man, we are all just getting up there in years.
Real painful.
Haleigh, I'm a little more confused than I was before as to whether Rocha actually had a conversation with Tom Kenny or he just sat near him on a train and heard his conversations with other people.
He's got friends at Netflix, man.
Come on, man. We had a back and forth.
Fancy man over here.
You had a thing. Okay.
Can I get you something? Yeah.
Well, there's been a little bit more of a hubbub in the chat room right now, and this is according to Collider Videos, who is in the chat room right now. Nice. And apparently there was a karaoke shindig for Rocha on Saturday.
Oh my
God! But
God.
I'm just seeing this is from Collider Videos, not me. I'm just don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah.
Rocha didn't invite Cody, Adam Copster, Frank, and many others. This is according to the word of Anaheim Angels enthusiast Cody Hall. Rocha, your response before we move on.
All those people you mentioned are incredibly funny, sarcastically oriented people. And the last thing I wanted was them to come and watch my friends and I goof around and do karaoke, because I could just see the 6 of them sitting in the back there like Statler and Waldorf commenting all night. And I said, I don't want my birthday being ruined by crap like that. So nothing wrong with those boys. Love hanging out with them here in the Collider Studios. But if I want to go and have some fun with my friends in karaoke and act the fool, which if you see some of the pictures I posted, I didn't want those guys to come along. And Dorian too.
I like that, called sarcastically inclined. Well, Haleigh and I both got the invite. We showed up.
Yes.
We were there.
One stayed longer than the other.
I went all the way across town to give you a birthday hug.
You did.
What that requires is gratitude, not attitude.
I said gratitude. I said it was nice to meet your cousin as well.
Yes.
She seemed really sweet.
Yeah, well, we had fun at the Burbank Beer Festival, and then, a lot of other stuff happened that night that we don't remember, so we assume we had a great time and nobody said anything stupid on social media. We move on to our next story, and that is about legendary comedian Bill Hicks, who passed away after battling cancer in the early 90s, is now finally getting the feature film treatment he so richly deserves. This, according to our own Jeff Snyder. Richard Linklater will be taking the helm. He's going to develop, write, and direct currently an untitled film that's based on the life of Bill Hicks, who started really getting his comedy chops in Houston and actually crossed paths with Sam Kinison a number of times. He has a good dear friend, Kevin Booth, who wrote a great book about Bill Hicks and his experiences with Hicks that I have actually read. Yes, I actually read a book one time. So Bill Hicks, such an influential comedian, and Richard Linklater apparently stated he's always been a big fan of Bill Hicks. I don't know if their paths ever crossed in person, because apparently, according to this, Richard Linklater's film Dazed Confused came out in 1993, about 5 months before Hicks passed away, and Bill Hicks saw it and was a huge fan of the movie. So kind of cool kindred spirits, as Richard Linklater would say. John Rocha, do you think that the Bill Hicks, Richard Linklater, one of them posthumous team up is going to work out well for the mass audience?
I certainly hope so. Bill Hicks is one of those comics, like maybe some people may be too young to remember who we're watching, but the 90s was an incredible massive explosion of stand-up comedy. There were so many shows on television where you could watch stand-up comedy. Not like now where you have like specials. This was like all the time. VH1 had a half-hour comedy hour. MTV had one. All these fledgling channels.
A&E, Evening at the Improv.
Right. Bobby, whatever his name was, who hosted the VH1 one, he was on there, the Evening at the Improv, all that. You had Def Comedy Jam that came around that time. So there were so many great comics that came around. So to stand out even more so from all those comics that were coming around. You had to have something special. Bill Hicks really did. He was what they call the outlaw comic, and there's nothing wrong with being an outlaw. And I enjoyed his comedy always. And you're right, him and Kinison were contemporaries at the same time. And Kinison was a populist comic in that he was screaming about normal things that he does, but Hicks was more incisive. Hicks was more political and a satirist. And he went from like talking about regular things to really diving in as his comedy grew into the more political stuff. And I mean, there was conspiracy theories about his death because of the things he was talking about. So if you've never listened to a Bill Hicks stand-up set, go and do yourself a favor. Even now, 20 years later, it still holds up. It's still so powerful and interesting. This is almost as difficult to cast as like Richard Pryor or Jerry Lewis. Who do you cast to play Bill Hicks that can really capture Bill Hicks's unique combination?
I think it's a tough cast for sure. I don't think it's on the level of Pryor or Carlin for the simple reason that there's just not as many people who know about Bill Hicks as they do Pryor or Carlin. And it's no shame on his material or how great he was. It's just the matter of you say the name Bill Hicks, it doesn't ring in somebody's mind the same way a Pryor or a Carlin might. Haleigh, is that how you see it? Do you think that a Bill Hicks movie could work?
Yeah, I think this is a great match, especially if you told me a Bill Hicks movie with a different director, I might have felt differently. But Linklater, like you said, kindred spirits. It feels like the right fit. And I just love almost everything Linklater does, and I always get excited for a new movie of his. But this material in particular, especially as you mentioned, Rocha, he was a really political and incisive and sharp and occasionally brutal comedian.
Yes.
And now might be the right time to approach that particular life and the things that he had to say, given that politics are a bit divisive these days, to say politely.
Yeah, it's interesting that if you listen to his material, a lot of it would seem relevant for today. You just switch some of the names out, and it still holds very true. Hicks, one of the things that he became known for was that he taped a set on David Letterman's show, but then CBS would not air the set because of a word he said. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think there was some sort of like, it was abortion in a graveyard, something with that. And CBS would not air the set, and so many years after he passed away, David Letterman always felt bad about it, and he had Bill Hicks's mom come on the show, and they aired the set for the first time. It was a really good set, too. So Richard Linklater doing this is very interesting to me. I selfishly want this to be his next project, but Richard Linklater has a busy calendar of things that have been announced that he's attached to, and that's including a movie about the space race in 1969. Doesn't seem like that one has a lot of steam around it right now. He's also working on a film about a 20th century con man, John Brinkley, and the China set comedy Larry's Kidney. So 3 projects he's circling right now. Let's go to another one of that project before we move on to our next story, and that is the space race movie. Do the box office results, or lack thereof, for First Man, does that influence whether the public or whether a studio is going to want to continue down the path with Richard Linklater for a space race movie, John Rocha?
I don't see how it doesn't, to be honest with you, because like we said before, Apollo 13 is a different kind of space movie. Gravity is a different kind of space movie. You start talking about historical space stuff, I think a lot of fans turn off. A lot of moviegoers don't want to go see something like this. They already know the story. They can read it in a book. And, you know, there's so many mini-series from Earth to the Moon, The Right Stuff as a film. There's already been so many things that have explored that space race. I don't know what Linklater would bring to it necessarily, who's not really known for making these blockbuster movies anyway. So I don't know why you would let him do something like that. If it was a TV series, absolutely knock yourself out. To a Netflix space race TV series that you direct, knock yourself out. But an actual feature film, I don't see what the point is, because the amount of money sunken into a space film with a guy who doesn't do that well at the box office doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I do imagine that it wouldn't have a lot of the special effects that were needed for something like First Man or even Apollo 13. Right. I figured this movie is going to take place on the ground primarily, and you might even have a wink and a nod, a comedic element in there. Might feel a lot like Battle of the Sexes, which is a movie that, again, didn't crush the box office, but it's something that I enjoyed. Haleigh, can a space race movie work, or do you think that First Man is going to steer studios away from ever trying this period in history?
Well, I don't think it'll steer them away forever, but I certainly don't think it's going to be in the top of their list right now. And like you said, he's probably not going to make a big budget movie, but when you are doing a space movie of any extent, there's a certain budget almost built in because of what the sets and the costumes require. I wouldn't be surprised if that got shuffled around to the bottom of the list, though it's a shame because I would love to see his take on that subject, and I think he has a real passion for history and things like that he doesn't get to explore as often as he does, like his philosophical thoughts and relationships and things like that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Linklater does next. Regardless of what he does, he's a filmmaker that I always keep my eye on for what's coming up. Hopefully the Bill Hicks movie doesn't take 12 years to make. Well, speaking of Bill Hicks, I'm not nearly as controversial as the great Bill Hicks, but I'm doing stand-up this Friday, and you can grab tickets right now at markellislive.com. It's in Los Angeles. It's my first big theater show in Los Angeles at Los Globos, right on Sunset Boulevard. Tickets are going fast. Make sure you get them now. MarkEllisLive.com. Use the promo code SCHMOES. Great lineup. Just added Jay Washington to it, Candace Thompson from The Tonight Show, our buddy T, Ken and Josh hosting, and that young man, John Rocha. We were talking about Bill Hicks and what he brings to the stage. Bill Hicks has a great quote that I've always remembered, and it's that material, you should go on stage with the material as your backup. So you talk about whatever's on your mind at the time.
Ooh.
How are you feeling about your set Friday?
I think I've got some things to work with after my interaction with Adam Smith today. I think there's a lot to work with there. So I'm going to have some fun with that. No, I'm joking. Yeah, that would be great if I felt that confident to walk up onto a stage. Maybe someday I'll get there, but for right now, the material will be what I use there.
Well, I'm sure you can run your set by your good buddy Tom Kenny. We move on to our next story, but I do want to remind you guys that today we had Collider Heroes, so make sure you guys check that out. I believe you produced that show, right? It was today?
I do, yeah, it was today. We had a really fun time on this one. Taliesin Jaffe joined us, a voiceover artist. Amy was back from her trips. Coy was here. We covered a lot of things today, good full hour of coverage. We didn't even get to Twitter questions. There was so much news and items that we covered. So we had the Wonder Woman date change, what's going on with that, the canceling of the Netflix series for Luke Cage and for Iron Fist, covered some speculation about what might be. A lot of people thinking, it's that Heroes for Hire. Well, Amy and Coy are pretty plugged in. They've got some knowledge about that. So definitely watch Collider Heroes today and get some more knowledge about the things you love in superhero world. All
right, big fan of both the hosts of Collider Heroes, except that Coy, he always seems a little sleepy. It's like, wake up, dude. All right, we move on to our next story, and that's going to involve two big-time names. Martin Scorsese directing, Leonardo DiCaprio starring, the two teaming up once again for their next project, and that is going to be Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, this is based on a true story. It's a true crime thriller, and it takes place in the 1920s in a string of murders that happened in Osage. Yes, the same Osage County in Oklahoma where August Osage County went down. There was a bunch of murders that were going on there, and it became one of the FBI's first major homicide investigations. So right now, Deadline is reporting that the two stars have agreed to direct and star in it respectively, and Eric Roth, the screenwriter behind, I think he shared credit on A Star is Born. He also wrote Forrest Gump, adapted that, is going to be working on the screenplay. So it's rumored to start filming sometime next summer, Haleigh. Killers of the Flower Moon. It's a mouthful, but it sounds really intriguing. Is this something that's going to get your box office dollar?
Absolutely. Anything Martin Scorsese makes will get my box office dollars, but I love pretty much everything about this. I love when Scorsese does period. I love when he works with DiCaprio. Obviously, they have a very good partnership and creatively. And it's a story that I don't know much about, so I'm excited to learn. I thought when I read it this morning that it said Eli Roth was adapting it for about 5 minutes, and I was like, whoa, Scorsese's getting weird in old age.
The murders be getting more grisly.
I'm still excited, though, even though it's a fancier man.
Yeah, Rocha, I mean, you look at Scorsese and DiCaprio, that's automatically going to get a lot of interest. Then when you have this storyline, it's interesting that it takes place 1920s, FBI's one of their first major homicide investigations. You think, what was going on in the 1920s with the FBI? Well, I believe that was right before a young man named J. Edgar Hoover started climbing the ranks, who, by the way, was also played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah. Not maybe to the best effect, but it was still a movie.
Yeah, sure. Armie Hammer was better in that film. I think it would be fascinating if he played both characters. That'd be so interesting. I just caught myself. This is a story I had no idea about. I guess it had escaped my attention to history, how much I love history and nature. But this sounds like a very uncomfortable and unsettling story to tell. A lot of conspiracy about people killing very rich Native Americans for their land and their oil. White people killing Native Americans, coming years after what had happened against Native Americans in this country and everything that was going on during those times in the 1800s. And so to have this still happening in the modern age, essentially in the 1920s, kind of hidden array, and it sparks the creation of the FBI. That's fascinating to explore, I think, as well. It's a dangerous film to make, I'll be honest with you. I read that synopsis, I'm like, with our politically charged climate, as you just said earlier, Haleigh, it seems like a very dangerous film to make at this time. I don't, especially because the FBI is in the news every damn day for the last 2 years about, what's going on in our world politically. So to me, this is a dangerous film, but I'm excited that DiCaprio is a part of it and that Scorsese is a part of it. But I just worry about this story. I look forward to it. It's probably going to be a damn good movie. I'm just scared about the film coming out.
Do you think that affects studios making movies like that? Because I think there's something like The Post would be one that if you were worried about that, The Post is one where you're like, oh, geez, I don't know if we should touch this right now, but they did, and it ended up being a pretty critically acclaimed film.
Well, The Post, I think, is more about that's. How can I say this? That's a ground we've tread before many times, and no one is killing anybody in this. This is more like a racial thing and a jealousy thing, a class thing. So all of that, plus you throw in north versus south, you throw that in there. So there's a lot of combustible elements in this story. I don't think studios run away from it because I think studios see Oscar potential. That's what they care about more than anything else. So I think that's what they focus on.
Yeah, and you get that name brand value certainly with Scorsese and DiCaprio. Haleigh, do you like them taking this kind of style with their project because they've done similar things to this, like a Gangs of New York or even The Departed?
Yeah, but this is more of it's a bit of a different approach to crime than what Scorsese usually does, which is more in the heart of the criminal's mindset as opposed to following the FBI. I mean, we saw both sides in The Departed, but that's something I'm excited to see. And you're right, there are a lot of combustible elements. That's well said. And I'm curious because Scorsese isn't the most overt political filmmaker, but he's a smart filmmaker. I'm just curious if the type of straight up drama he likes to make that isn't overtly political will fly when it's taking on a subject like this in these times. But he is also Martin Scorsese, so I think he's probably going to make a smart movie that's well made and thoughtful, not just casually throwing around these controversial topics.
Well, I hated Gangs of New York, so that concerns me. Oh yeah, I hated it. So
hated the movie, really? Why?
After Neeson dies, the film goes right to crap. And so to me, it's just it's a bunch of not fully realized concepts socially and politically within the film. Is Daniel Day-Lewis incredible? Yes, absolutely. But DiCaprio gives one of his more kind of like not as connected or dialed in performances like you see him now in that film. And I think it's just kind of a little bit all over the place. So much so that only at the almost very end do you find out about them lynching black people because of the voter riots. Like that we should have connected to the black characters more so that when we see them hanging from the poles in the way that we go crazy because that's a northern story. It was happening in the north as well as the south. So I just felt like he didn't quite get there with that film fully and politically and socially, and that concerns me for a film like this a little bit. Not a lot, but certainly a little bit.
Okay, well then you kind of answered the converse of my question I'm about to pose to both of y'all, is that what's your favorite Scorsese DiCaprio team up? So we started out with Gangs of New York, and then we went to The Aviator, and then we went to The Departed, then we went to The Departed, Shutter Island, and then The Wolf of Wall Street. What's the best one to you and everybody out there? Comment right now.
The Departed for me.
Departed?
It's not even. I love that movie.
Pretty rewatchable too.
Love it, and I know it's one of his most populous films and easy to watch films, and maybe I'm just that kind of a basic bitch. I don't know. I really love it, and I watch it a lot. Like you said, rewatchable. They're all great. He brings out some of DiCaprio's best performances, which is really saying something for an actor of that caliber. But yeah, The Departed all day, every day.
Yeah, there's a reason it's easy to watch because it's really good. There's a reason why they call pop music pop, because it stands for popular. John,
that is your boy. I love that scene. It's really hard. I would say Departed, I guess, but Wolf of Wall Street is not that far behind. I tell you, that scene when he takes the Quaaludes, that's an acting seminar. That's a class.
That's a comedic acting.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, this is incredibly brilliant. Yeah, it's a master class. So, but and plus it introduced Margot Robbie to us, and she's incredible in that movie as well. And Jonah Hill's fantastic. But I would say Departed. I agree. Because it's not just populist. It's also a very brutal film with an interesting love triangle involved. And when the shocks happen, if you haven't seen the original material it's based on, when the twists and turns happen, the tragic moments happen, you're really caught off guard. And it's effective by him.
I used to work in movie theaters for like a decade. And I was the projectionist, so I would run downstairs. I would know that scene was about to happen, and I'd run down to listen to the crowds every time. And every time they would lose their shit.
Course.
It was amazing.
Comes out of nowhere.
That's great. Well, I did not know that I was with a projectionist here on the panel. Jeremy Johnson and I used to, because he was a projectionist, and I worked at a movie theater. I was just a concession kid. Never made it up.
Things are going really well for projectionists these days. It's a very in-demand career.
I know. You
Film is
kids.
Thriving.
Got your 401ks your families just down here shoveling popcorn to the masses. But hey, it's delicious and it's free. Move on to our next story, and that is The Purge. That's right, The Purge. Well, it can't go on forever. Right, or can it? I'm not sure. We don't know. And if we're to believe the writer of the 4 films and the director of the last 3, that's all one person, by the way, James DeMonaco, he told Entertainment Weekly he has an idea for how to end The Purge. Yes, I said end the profitable franchise, The Purge. He said, I have it in my head. I think I'm going to write it. It's a great way to end it all. We want to end it all, I think, in this one, and I'm very excited. When I came up with the idea and pitched it to everybody, they seemed psyched, and I think it would be a really cool ending, how we take this one home. Great. I don't buy it, because if this is the last Purge, but it makes money, you're going to see more Purges coming around because audiences just have too much fun. They gobble it up, even the ones that don't get the critical reviews, because there's been some good ones. In my opinion, there's been some not so good ones, but it's always an interesting concept. They always make for great trailers, great selling points. And I think especially the irony here is if you call it the last Purge, more people are going to be interested in seeing it, and if more people go see it, they're going to want to greenlight more Purges. So, hey, I go to you first on this because there's such a horror aspect to all the Purge movies, really, particularly the first one. But there's also the TV show right now, and I'm not really caught up on that, so I'm not sure if the TV show is existing in the same universe or the same world where the movies are.
It does. It exists in sort of a null time zone, though, because it's between the first Purges and the movie The First Purge, which just came out, and sort of the later stuff that we see in the Purge election year, which more or less sees the Purge, done away with. So obviously it's set between those two timelines, and that time period, it makes for great drama, but it doesn't plug into very much in the films because we're already past it. I'll say this, though. I'm not sure that it's a lie or that they won't pull the plug on the franchise. This hasn't had to be tested really yet, but Blumhouse has always been very dedicated to the idea of only making their films with the talent that helped create it. So like Insidious has always had James Wan and Leigh Whannell around. Leigh Whannell still writes the films. And I talked to Jason Blum for the first Purge Blu-ray release, and I asked him point blank, like, if James DeMonaco says he's done, but these continue to make money, would you still do it? And he really, he goes, not if he wasn't involved in any way, which means he could take maybe an EP credit and just barely be involved. But if DeMonaco says he's done, I suspect that Blumhouse will stay true to their word and not make these films without any involvement from the creators.
Yeah, well, Rocha, if recent lottery sales are any indication, people like easy money.
Yeah.
So if James DeMonaco gets offered an executive producer credit on more Purge movies and it's just taking a couple phone calls, here's my arm, twist it, okay, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. Jason is an interesting cat in that way, and if you're done with something, and he says, DeMonaco says he's got this novel way to finish it. Right? He's got a very honest way to finish it. But for me, having seen horror franchises, tell me it's final, like the final destination, over and over and over again. At some point, fool me once, fool me twice, that kind of thing. So, but I think it's kind of run its course too, because it was shocking when it first came out, and then they tried to do variations of it to explore other sides of it, other aspects of it. So much so they did a prequel, kind of like SpongeBob, a little prequel, and even that really wasn't received in the best way financially or critically as possible. and I'm not sure what the ratings are for the TV series, but like I just think maybe it's due to our current political times, it feels like something that is actually outdated, if I could even use that term, because that kind of violence and tribalism and anger is now in the streets already. So we don't need to see it on screen. It's no longer novel.
Well, it would be interesting to call this next movie, whenever it gets made, The Last Purge, because the previous one was just called The First Purge, and I would love to see, I do want to see what that next day is like. I want to see, if you announce it's The Last Purge, people are going to go even crazier on this Purge night than they usually do. So what kind of chaos will ensue? It's like we haven't seen the craziest of what the Purge has to offer yet. We get even crazier Purge stuff. You would if you get The Last Purge. So I would sign up for it. You put that at a movie theater, you put that across the street from our home studio here in Cleveland, Ohio, I would go right across the street and I would go see that movie today. All right. I don't know if they agree with me, but I would go see it.
No.
I'll see all Purge things until they're done, unless they make like 27 of them. But I like the franchise a lot. I agree with you that maybe it's run its course and it is a bit, 6 years ago it was really relevant and now it's not as much. But I still think they make really good drama out of it. And even the first Purge, I thought was an underrated film. That's an angry movie, guys.
It really is. And I understand Rocha's point about people not maybe wanting to see that movie because it feels like that's what's actually going on, but it sends some pointed shots at what's going on too, and that's why I found it so relevant. So it's kind of the yin and yang of that. Bottom line is that we're not inviting Rocha. Haleigh and I are going across the street to see The Last Purge, and we're inviting Adam and Cody and Frank and everybody else. Didn't get to go to the karaoke party. You actually did miss a great time. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for allowing me to perform. Happy birthday for you.
Thank you for coming.
Well, we have one more story to get to, then we're going to take your live Twitter questions. Go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video. Use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk and tell us what you're excited about, and we will answer whatever question you have, whatever comment you want. Let us have it. We're prepared. Well, we have the trailer for the new Sandra Bullock Netflix movie that comes out December 21st. It's not a Christmas movie. The Bird Box. It's called Bird Box, and basically the apocalypse is happening. It is going on right now. So what happens? We get into a house. Sandra Bullock's there. Her kids are there. Little Rel Howery is there. Great comic. John Malkovich is there. What the hell is going to happen? I like this trailer a lot. I feel like it showed us a ton of what we're going to see in the movie. Maybe too much. If you give me this apocalyptic premise, I love the way it started, but to see how it started, and then I see the rest of the trailer and I wonder, wait, how long is the movie's running time before we get to where the trailer kicked off? Rocha, I feel like I saw a lot of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, you saw her go on this whole journey from beginning to getting caught up in this house, to what they do, to getting in the boat, to what happens on the boat, to what happens outside the boat, and the kids, and the bells, and the filth, and the farm, and you get all of that in here. And it's a way longer trailer than a normal trailer. It's like 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Most trailers are 2:20, 2 minutes tops. So it's a long trailer, but I will tell you this, it certainly got me in its camp. I was super excited. And you know, whenever Sandra Bullock does drama, I'm always like, and then I'm in. Like, I have to be like, and then
You're not
sucks
an all about
me in.
Steve guy?
Hey, not a drama.
Harsh.
Hey, Gravity's great. You're not a Blindside guy because they showed thighs when
I hated Blindside. That's a Lifetime movie, for God's sakes. But this looks intense and interesting. Man, and it occurred to me as I was watching this trailer, like, I really think the more these films come out like this on Netflix, like, the studios have to really be scared. I mean, legitimately scared. Theaters should be scared. This kind of quality coming out of a streaming service is incredible. Just this year alone, right? 22 July, that one about the wolf that with Jeffrey Wright that just came out. All these are incredibly well done films in terms of the film quality and in terms of the production and the actors that they get. It's shocking to me. I just saw a billboard for an Amazon series with Julia Roberts, for God's sakes, in a TV series. So it's incredible what they were able to do. So this looks fantastic. Looks expansive. Looks like there's a lot of areas it goes to. Great actors. Trevante Rhodes is in this as well. So there's a lot. Sarah Paulson in that scene with her in the car. My God, when she's glassed over, holy mackerel!
B.D. Wong is in it, who genetically engineers dinosaurs.
That's right. That criminal. But yeah, this thing just looks exquisitely fantastic for me.
Yeah, it was an impressive. You make a great point about the theater experience going into the home December 21st. I mean, this could be competing with stuff like Bumblebee and Aquaman and Mary Poppins Returns. Haleigh, it looks like a great movie. Do you feel like you saw too much of the film from the trailer that we watched?
Yeah, you bring up a very good point there that That's more of a scourge just in the industry right now, though, than this one trailer messing up. I feel like people need to tone it down. And, like, you guys, I mean, I wasn't really alive during this time period, but, like, in the 70s, trailers would be weird things to just sort of suggest the movie you were about to see, not show you a lot of it, let alone half of it or something. The thing is, though, it doesn't matter because we're all still going to watch it. Like, we're all so ready now. We might be a little disappointed at the end if we've already seen most of it, but we're going to be there. We're going to be a part of their numbers that prove once again that they just know how to get into people's homes and get them to watch their stuff. I mean, I don't know if movie theaters and studios need to be scared because it seems like every 10 years there's some new invention that threatens their existence. But I certainly think Netflix is the most dangerous one yet.
Right? It's just scary.
I think Netflix is clearly, or things like Netflix, I should say, are the new middle class, if you will. Because you worry about the middle class being squeezed out where you have these tiny independent movies that come out and they're going to get noticed. And then you have these monster blockbusters that come out. And that's why people go to the theater. Then you wonder just about that 30, 50, $60 million budget range. Where are those movies going? Are those movies still going to get greenlit? Well, this looks like one of them. And it's going to be on Netflix, and it's got a great pedigree. Suzanne Beyer directed it. She did The Night Manager. She's a director with a lot of promise right now. Jason Blum should get her number. And then you also have Eric Heiser, who wrote it. So he wrote Arrival, and he scripted a lot of interesting things. Lights Out, another one. So Jason Blum should get his number. Probably already has his number. Probably already has Suzanne's number. What the hell am I talking about? Anyway, I'm excited about this movie. How was Hold the Dark? The Jeffrey Wright film that you referenced.
Oh, I really enjoyed it. And I'm confused by people who are like, I didn't think it was what it said it was going to be in the trailer. I'm like, yeah, I saw what they were going towards in the trailer.
Is it weird?
Yeah, it's weird, but it's fun, interesting, weird. Like, I like the performance of Jeffrey Wright in that film as well and where it went. And the fact that there's constant twists and turns through it, I thought was enjoyable as hell, kept my attention. Very cerebral film. I was surprised by that more than anything else. And 22 July, if you haven't seen that, about the Norway attack to those kids, the 70 kids that were killed on that island, or 70 people that were killed, that's as on par with United 93.
The Paul Greengrass?
The Greengrass film. It is that powerful. But by the way, I love 70s trailers. Those were great.
Yeah.
You'd have it like this. His name is Mark Ellis. He stands outside hosting Movie Talk. What is he about? What does he want? Where is he going?
Wow.
That's what it would be like.
Absolutely.
And then you're like lighting your cigarette.
I was just going to say maybe someone smoking.
Yeah.
You got your opener for Friday night. Look at that.
There you go. Right.
Just do a trailer. Pablo Francisco does it too. But he's been doing it for a little bit. But hey, I like your promise. I'll make a movie trailer with John Rocha voicing it over any day. And that's going to translate into our first live Twitter question. But before we get there, I do want to remind you guys that tomorrow we got a new Reilly Roundtable that your ears can enjoy. You got a new Jedi Council that your eyeballs can enjoy. And we have Sportsbook Thursday night. That's the betting show?
Yep, the betting show.
Lines.
That's right. Josh McCougan and I talking about the line for the Thursday night game, Dolphins and Texans. We're going to let you know where to go, where to put your money. Where to put that money you won in South Carolina, that billion, you can put it down. Just listen to us. We'll double it. One person
won the billion?
The payout is $917 million.
So they'll probably walk with what, 450 of that?
No. The payout is 1 point something billion. What they take home is $917 million.
After taxes?
Yeah.
Man, you're going to get a lot of phone calls from a lot of family members. What do you do in that situation?
Brother,
if you
please.
win Powerball, you want to give money away. How much is too much? Do you have a bunch of needy family members coming out of the woodwork asking for money? What do you give them? Do you give them a car? Do you pay their mortgage? What is y'all's strategy for winning Powerball?
Give them the middle finger.
Okay.
I'm kidding. No,
okay.
That's monstrous. But you do have to take care of yourself because there's a lot of people that just get depressed and really sad after they win a bunch of money. I give them a little, enough to make them go away. I
got a great idea. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to take, I want a nice chunk of it, right? I'm going to take $100 million, okay? And that's mine. And then I just give the rest to somebody else in my family, and I say, "Come to their door."
That's smart.
You don't want to be the richest guy on your block because then everybody's coming to you.
Right.
So if you make somebody else just a little bit richer, they're going to that door first.
Well, that's why I buy a beachfront house in Malibu. I could fit right in with the rest of the rich folks, and I'd have that place, and then the money would be, and I changed my number, no one would get in touch with me. No one. And I would catch up on
Mom.
and I would finally like take everything off my Netflix queue once and for all. Like everything, watch everything. I'd have all the time in the world to sit back and enjoy and watch shows. Yeah.
Sorry to burst your bubble, but when you're that rich, you don't watch Netflix. You pour a tall glass of scotch and you just stare into a fire. That's what rich people doing, right? No, I'm the only one? Okay. Now it's time for live Twitter questions. And our first one, like I hinted at, is from Derek336. Is that your area code? Because that's Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Go Deeks. What comedian would you like to see in more dramas? He's excited to see Bill Burr in The Front Runner. Saw the movie. Bill Burr's great in it.
Oh, okay.
And he wants to see more Bill Burr because Bill Burr obviously may be the funniest comic going right now. Also a very good dramatic actor and comedic actor for that matter. So who would you take?
I would throw in Tiffany Haddish. I really enjoyed her in The Oath. Really enjoyed her in The Oath. I know maybe a lot of people not giving that one a chance because Barinholtz not sure what this is all about. It's actually a really good film, and she is incredible in it. Both dramatic and funny moments that she has throughout the film. I think I want to see her more. You see she has that gear, knowing her story, homeless, what she did, all that she went through. That gear is there. And I think there's a role waiting for her out there, a la Whoopi Goldberg, where she will get an Oscar for it. I guarantee. I just have a feeling about her.
I mean, we even got to see a different version of her in Night School versus what we saw in Girls Trip. So Tiffany's incredibly talented. Looking forward to seeing more from her. Okay, that's a vote for Tiffany Haddish. Who's Haleigh Foutch pushing for?
I like that a lot, Rocha. I wish I had that one first, but I'm going to go with Bill Hader, who we're seeing a little more because he got Barry, but for a while there, his only real deep dramatic thing was this movie called The Skeleton Twins, which I totally stand for. I think is fantastic. It's him and Kristen Wiig both doing really dramatic, dark, like suicidal, depressive performances, and they're amazing. He's so good. He should be in all the dramas. I guess he's gonna be funny, but like he's gonna get to do fear and stuff in It Chapter 2, so I'm excited to see that side of him.
Yeah, that'll be cool. The first name that popped into my head was Patton Oswalt, because Patton Oswalt he's obviously hilarious, but he's done a lot of good drama to this point, and I think that he's probably got a lot more in him that he's going to be doing. You ever see Big Fan?
Oh yeah.
He's
uncomfortable, that
so
film.
Creepy in that movie, but it's like, but you know that there's people out there that exist just like that. So Patton Oswalt is my vote, but Bill Burr, love to see more drama from him as well. All right, Brad Whipple is up next, and he says, in the spirit of the World Series, which is going on, Game 2 is tonight from Beantown, which movie character would you want coaching your team in a sports championship?
Ooh.
And Brad says, hello from Syracuse. Hello, go Orange. What? And it can be, I'm going to take this as any character from a sport, so it doesn't have to be a coach necessarily. It can be anybody.
Oh, any character
that you might want coaching you. Who
I
you
think
got?
my answer is still the same. As much as I would love to go with Peter Gammon from Major League. This is what I think of your contract, Dorn. I got to go with Denzel Washington and Remember the Titans.
That's a good one.
Boone, that's a good coach, that guy. He is fantastic in that film. Yeah, does he have a couple of missteps, but they're always in the right direction. So I like him a lot. I bet he'd coach my team to a championship. He does it in the film, so I wouldn't be surprised him doing it in the World Series.
Okay, he's taking Denzel Washington from Remember the Titans. Haleigh Foutch?
Yeah. Just a quick question. What are sports?
Oh,
okay.
I see where the confusion
All
is.
right.
Yeah.
You
So
know
sports
what?
are competitive games that some people take way too seriously, even when they're thousands of miles away, yelling at their TV as though the players on the field can hear them.
You, Fouch.
Yeah.
You,
No.
Fouch.
I haven't seen a lot of sports movies, to be honest. I was a huge basketball fan growing up, but the Lakers had a rough time for a while, so I kind of tuned out on that. Yeah, fair weather fan, whatever, come at me. Tom Hanks in A League of Their Own. Just 'cause
that's a great one.
It's Tom Hanks.
Jimmy Dugan, he's going to give you a
Yeah.
good inspirational pep talk. The heart is what makes it great. You know, I'm looking over Rocha's shoulder, and I'm just thinking, I bet you that Tom Hardy / Venom would be a coach that you're going to play hard for. That's what you want out of a coach.
Or die.
Yeah, you want a coach
He'll
that's going
motivate
to push
you.
Yeah, he
you
will.
to the limit. And I think that he's got Venom under control to the point where the
Okay.
symbiote, certainly it's an intimidating thing to look at, but it's going to make you do that extra push-up, run that extra lap.
Right.
Same probably with Michael Myers.
I want to see Venom arguing balls and strikes at the World Series.
I'm still going Gene Hackman. I'm taking Gene Hackman
Yes.
because I get Coach Norman Dale from Hoosiers, and I
Yeah.
also get the coach from The Replacement. So you can take a ragtag group of whoever playing whatever sport, and Gene Hackman is going to get you to the championship. One more question, then we'll call it a day here, and that's from J. Scott St. Clair. And his question is, what is your favorite classic rock tune featured in a Linklater movie?
Oh,
So specific.
Yeah, it is. So I give you Dazed Confused. Dazed Confused. Boyhood, I'm sure, had a few. And then I'm also going to give you Everybody Wants Some, which is the Linklater film about baseball.
Yeah.
Texas college baseball. Do you need to go to the phones for this one?
I probably
I
do.
probably
Can you
do.
have an answer
I
right
don't
now
know.
off the top of your
I
head?
have a lot of answers
All
right
right.
now. Obviously, I'm going to go with the incredible 1-2 punch that Linklater gave us in Everybody Wants Some, because not only did he play Van Halen's Everybody Wants Some, he also played Ain't Talking About Love and just kind of mashed them all into one cool party scene. Love what he did there. But you go to the classic Dazed and Confused. The movie kicks off with the Aerosmith all-timer Sweet Emotion. That's a great one. Kisses, Rock and Roll All Night. Tuesday's Gone, when you go to the Moon Tower and you have a great beer blast, but then the keg's out and you got to go home and sleep it off the next day. That's when you play Tuesday's Gone. So my first priority of every summer is to get Aerosmith tickets, and I think that's a pretty good answer. Get Dazed and Confused, but also get more Dazed and Confused, also available on iTunes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's got great cuts like Edgar Winter's Free Ride and Foghat's I Just Want to Make Love to You. Not you, Rocha.
Maybe after the Globos show. We can
Probably
go
not
somewhere.
that either.
God, son
To
of
be
a...
totally honest with you. Probably not
You-
going to happen
you-
in our lifetime.
All right.
How are the phones working out?
Well, I didn't find the name of the song, but I did think of one. It's not classic rock,
You want
but
to sing it? You want to do a little...
Yeah.
no, that's why does everyone ask me to sing when I'm here?
You look like you have
It's
a good
not
voice.
good.
You look like you have a good voice.
Can you hint at what the song is?
Well, I'll tell you when it happens. It's
Okay.
the song at the end of Before Sunset when she goes, "Baby, you are gonna miss your plane," and then she kind of does a little wiggle, and it's
Yeah.
like this really happy, sad ending. That's my favorite needle drop of his. But it's also because the moment's so
It's a pretty good moment. Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
what, when you take the moment away, does the song still hold up? Rocha, does yours?
Look, culturally, I have to say lowrider, but my honest choice is Kiss, Rock and Roll All Night. I love that damn song.
There you go.
I want to rock and roll all night.
Pretty good one. All right. Well, this was, I think, a pretty good episode of Collider Movie Talk. And with that, we will bid you adieu. Haleigh Foutch, where can the kids find you out there on all the social medias when you're not singing karaoke?
Yeah. So anytime, because I never do that, you can find me on Twitter at Haleigh Foutch. You can find me on Instagram at Haystack McGroovy.
Haystack McGroovy, John Rocha, where can the kids check you out?
Always at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. Come follow me. Let's have some fun. Let's have some conversations. Oh, and Friday, Bibiane! I'm coming for that belt.
You got a big Friday planned.
I do, man. I'm going to be exhausting Friday.
Well, yesterday was a tough break for you.
Yeah, I wonder why.
You know.
Apparently, 3 names is the same as an Irish name in certain people's dictionaries.
Hey, look, I make the rulings according to the rules that are set before. If you have an issue, please take it up with the committee that does get together every Schmoedown off season. Well, that does it finally for us. My name is Mark Ellis. You can find me at Mark Ellis Live. Check out my buddy Josh Wolf's Facebook show. I got to pop into it last night. It was a whole barrel of laughs. And like I said, Friday, the big show at Los Globos. Get tickets right now. Just retweet my pinned tweet and you might win a $50 gift card courtesy of Fandango. Throw it to the Y to say goodbye. We will see y'all back here tomorrow, Thursday, for our last show of the week, 4 p.m. PT. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.